I'm Jen Roberts. In today's video, we're going to cover basic OBRA scheduling. We will review the assessments that every resident needs regardless of their payer type. So if you're wondering which MDS assessments to complete for your residents, you've come to the right place. So let's get started. OBRA assessments include entry tracking record, discharge record, death in facility, the admission assessment, quarterly assessment, annual assessment, and significant change. The admission, annual, and significant change are comprehensive assessments. Comprehensive assessments are due every 366 days. OBRA assessments are due every 92 days. OBRA assessments include the admission assessment, the quarterly assessment, significant change, and the annual. After the admission assessment, we'll have 92 days to complete our next OBRA assessment. Comprehensive assessments are due every 366 days. The date is determined by the last ARD date. The last ARD date plus 366 days is the date your next comprehensive is due. The picture above demonstrates the typical OBRA cycle. Now we're going to take a look at a new admission. This is the first time the resident has admitted to this facility. The first assessment we're going to do is an entry tracking record. The ARD, assessment reference date, is day 1. The next assessment is the admission assessment. The admission assessment is due by day 14. If the resident discharges before day 14, then no assessment is required. The admission assessment is a comprehensive assessment. Comprehensive assessments require more information to be put into the MDS. The next assessment that's due is a quarterly. The quarterly is due 92 days after the last assessment. The next assessment that's due for our resident is the annual assessment. The annual assessment is due 366 days after the last comprehensive. The comprehensive assessments require more information to be put into the MDS. They generate care area assessments, also known as CAUS, and we also make sure we update the comprehensive care plan when we complete a comprehensive assessment. So with the scenario that we reviewed today, the resident's entry date was 1/1/2019. The admission assessment would have been completed on January 14th. The next quarterly is due by 4/15/19. The next quarterly 7/15/19. The next quarterly 10/14/19. And then the annual would be due by 1/3/2020. During the resident's entire stay, we're monitoring for a significant change, an improvement or a decline in 2 or more areas, a new pressure injury, weight loss. Those are just a few items that might indicate the resident requires a significant change. A significant change is a comprehensive assessment that resets the clock for the date the next comprehensive assessment is due. Hi, I'm Jen Roberts. I wanted to do a brief overview of the information we covered in today's video. Today we talked about the OBRA schedule. OBRA assessments are due for every resident who enters your building regardless of payer type. The first assessment that you're going to be completing is an entry tracking record. The entry tracking record is due the first day the resident enters your building, so your assessment reference date, or ARD, would be the day that that resident enters. 14 days after that date, an admission assessment is needed. If the resident discharges before day 14, the admission assessment is not necessary. Every 92 days after that admission assessment, CMS expects us to transmit an MDS assessment. That assessment could be either the quarterly or the significant change assessment. We also have the annual assessment, which would be due 366 days after the ARD of the admission assessment. So we have the admission, quarterly, annual, and the significant change. The admission, annual, and significant change are called comprehensive assessments. Comprehensive assessments require a little bit more information be put into the MDS, and it identifies care area triggers that the resident might have concern with. We're expected to analyze those care areas and generate comprehensive care plans to help prevent those areas from happening for our residents. So every 92 days, CMS expects to see a record, wants us to transmit that record to them. So that could either be the quarterly, the annual, the significant change. Typically, we'll see 3 quarterlies and then an annual. So we would have a quarterly completed 92 days, then 92 days, then 92 days, and then we would do this annual, which is 366 days after the assessment reference date of that admission assessment. Now, if at any point a significant change occurs for your resident, you will complete that significant change assessment, and it is the same as completing an annual, so it satisfies that need to have a comprehensive assessment every 366 days. So in that case, when you complete the significant change, the clock starts over again. So the next comprehensive will be due 366 days after the ARD date of your significant change. In the video, I didn't talk about discharges, so I wanted to cover them here. We have 2 types of discharges. The first discharge is a discharge return anticipated. So this is someone who's going to be sent out to the hospital. You don't expect them to stay very long. So we do that discharge return anticipated. The next discharge assessment we have is a discharge return not anticipated. So this may be a resident who is going home. You know that they're not coming back, so you would complete the discharge return not anticipated. So the main difference with these 2 assessments is that with the discharge return anticipated, when the resident comes back to your facility, you're going to do a re-entry. So this re-entry can be completed if you complete the discharge return anticipated and the resident comes back within 30 days. Then we can do the re-entry, and then we'll evaluate the resident for a significant change and then follow that 92-day cycle. If you chose the resident is a discharge return not anticipated, so let's say the resident goes home, they have to come back suddenly. If you do this discharge return not anticipated, you have to start the cycle completely over again. You'll be doing the entry assessment and then another admission assessment, and then that cycle will begin again. Now, if you do the discharge return anticipated, the resident goes to the hospital, you're expecting them to come back, so you complete that assessment, and the resident doesn't come back until day 32. They have been out of your building for 32 days. That means you have to start the schedule over again. So you will start with an entry assessment, then do the admission, and then every 92 days you're going to be completing an OBRA assessment. So I hope this video clarifies any questions you have. Please make sure and hit the like button. And if you enjoyed this video, please share with a friend. And as always, I hope you have an amazing day, and thanks for learning with Jen.